This story is for every young woman who was told she can't, yet still carried a small light of hope deep inside her heart. It's the story of Emily, a village girl who almost lost everything she loved until one person believed in her again. The girl with a dream. In a quiet countryside surrounded by green fields and dusty paths, there lived a 16-year-old girl named Emily. Her eyes sparkled with dreams far bigger than her small world. Every morning, she walked miles to school, her feet covered in dust, but her heart full of hope. She loved books, especially English and mathematics. Her teachers admired her, and her friends always looked up to her. When someone asked, "Emily, what do you want to become when you grow up?" she smiled and said, "I want to be a teacher. I want every girl in our village to study and dream, just like me." She was always the top student in her class, hardworking, kind, and full of purpose. The day her world changed. But one evening, everything changed. Her father came home from the market with a serious face. "Emily," he said softly, "your marriage has been arranged. The boy's family is good. You'll have a safe and happy life." Emily froze. "Marriage? But Dad, my exams are next month. I want to finish school." Her mother looked down and said quietly, "It's time to take responsibility, my child. A girl's real home is her husband's home." That night, Emily cried until she could no longer speak. Her books were packed away. Her school uniform folded and kept aside, forever. At just 16, the brightest girl in school became a bride. Life without dreams. Her new home was in another village. Her husband, Ryan, was gentle but quiet. Her mother-in-law was strict. Days passed in cooking, cleaning, and endless chores. Her hands were always busy, but her heart felt empty. At night, when everyone slept, Emily would take out her old notebook, secretly hidden in a small box, and whisper to herself, "I don't want to forget what I learned." She would write tiny equations on scrap paper, trying to remember her lessons. But deep down, she felt alone, as if her dreams had no place in her new life. The man who saw her light. One evening, her father-in-law, Mr. Harris, came home early. He was a retired teacher, calm, wise, and kind. He noticed a small light glowing from Emily's room. When he peeked inside, he saw her writing something by a dim lamp. "Emily," he asked gently, "what are you doing so late?" "Oh, nothing, sir, just writing." He smiled. "I was a teacher once." "You're studying, aren't you?" She nodded shyly. "Yes, but it doesn't matter now. Those days are gone." "Who told you that dreams end after marriage?" he asked. "Everyone says a good wife should only think about her home," she replied softly. "And a good family," he said kindly, "should think about her dreams too." That night changed everything. A new beginning. Mr. Harris began bringing Emily old school books. Every evening, after finishing her work, she would sit in the courtyard and study with him. "You were a good student, weren't you?" he'd ask. "Yes, sir. I loved school. I wanted to be a teacher." "Then let's start again," he said. "No dream is ever too late." They studied together quietly every night. Sometimes, she laughed and said, "Sir, you're strict like my old teacher." He'd smile and reply, "And you're my favorite student." Becoming a teacher again. Months passed, and Emily began to feel alive again. One morning, Mr. Harris told her, "There's a small school nearby. They need someone to help little girls with reading. Why don't you try?" "Me? But I'm not a real teacher yet," she said nervously. "You have knowledge and kindness," he said. "That's what makes a true teacher." So Emily went. At first, she was shy. The children giggled when she mispronounced a word, but soon they grew to love her warmth and patience. They started calling her teacher Emily, changing the village. Word spread quickly through the village. Mothers began sending their daughters to school. People who once said, "What can a girl do?" now said, "We want our daughter to be like Emily." Her small classroom was soon filled with laughter, questions, and hope. The final test. One evening, Emily saw Mr. Harris waiting by the gate. He held her old school certificate in his hand. "I went to your old school," he said. "They're giving a test for new teachers. If you pass, you'll be officially certified." Tears filled her eyes. You did this for me? He smiled softly. No, my child. You did it. I just reminded you of your strength. Emily studied harder than ever. Every night she revised lessons with Mr. Harris. On the exam day, she trembled with fear. Don't worry, he said. You've always been a teacher in your heart. The world is just about to see it. Weeks later, a letter arrived. She had passed, with the highest marks. She was now officially a teacher. She ran to Mr. Harris and hugged him. Sir, I did it. He smiled. No, we did it. But the courage was always yours. Passing the light forward. Years passed. Emily's small school grew bigger. Dozens of young girls studied there. Her husband proudly supported her. One afternoon, Emily noticed a little girl crying outside her classroom. Why are you crying, dear? She asked. The girl whispered, My father says girls shouldn't go to school. Emily knelt beside her and said softly, I once heard the same thing. But dreams can grow even in silence. Promise me you won't stop learning. The little girl wiped her tears and nodded. That evening, as the sun set, Emily stood beside Mr. Harris. Sir, she said, sometimes I wonder, what if you hadn't helped me? He smiled and said, then someone else would have. Because when a dream is true, life always finds a way to protect it. They stood together, watching the orange sky, proud and peaceful. The message. So, my friends, remember, even when the world says no, keep your heart open for the person who says yes. Because sometimes, hope doesn't come from where you expect. It comes from someone who believes in your light.